Good afternoon, everyone. I see that Professor Paul is joining the panel of speakers. Professor Danuta Kisperska-Moroń already joined. Professor Dragan Čišić is with us. Professor De Costa is with us. It's 1:00 p.m. Central Europe time, and I think we can start. So I would like to welcome all of you. My name is Paolo Bisogni, and I am the president of ELA, the European Logistics Association. I assume that you are well aware about ELA, who we are, what we do. So I will not waste any time of the research day to introduce the association Pietro Evangelista, buongiorno, to introduce the association further. Let me just take this opportunity to remind you, or to communicate, to share with you the fact that ELA is increasing its level of involvement with research projects. We are actually actively looking for financing opportunities from the European Commission, and we are actually collaborating with universities and research centers in working at research projects. At the moment, ELA is working with a very nice partnership led by the Chamber of the Polish Industrial Engineers, which is called Willpower Women in Logistics, which is a project aimed at, it is an Erasmus Plus project actually, which is aimed at developing tools, identifying opportunities, mobilizing resources to increase the level of lady managers working in the logistics areas, and particularly to increase the amount of ladies with management responsibilities in logistics service providers. It is quite an interesting project, both from an applied science point of view and from a social point of view. And the ELA is absolutely proud to be part of it. You can find information on Willpower on the ELA websites and on the Willpower websites. But this is just a reminder. Please, what I would like to do is to invite you to please consider ELA as a potential partner for your research projects. Please keep in mind that ELA is actually a community of more than 50,000 supply chain management professionals. Through ELA, it is possible to reach a community of managers, consultants, and other academics and researchers, which probably has no equal in Europe. We are willing to work with you. We are willing to cooperate in more projects, and we are very happy that we can host, that we can organize also in 2021, notwithstanding the difficulties due to the coronavirus epidemics, the Research Day. Looking forward to listen to your speeches. I will be with you, and I'm always reachable by email at my email address, paolo.bisogni@elalog.org. Thank you very much. Have fun. Danuta, I think it's your turn, I think.
Yes, however, I'm not quite sure if I'm visible or not, because I can still see Paolo. Now I can see Pietro. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. And Ladies and gentlemen, I have the extreme pleasure and the privilege to be the moderator of the first session of presentations of the ILA Research Day. My name is Danuta Kisperska-Moroń, and I am a professor of business logistics at the Department of Business Logistics at the University of Economics in Katowice, which is in the south of Poland. My major research interests, these are supply chain management, business logistics, service management, inventory management, and finally, customer service. So I have lots of extensive also teaching experience. Currently, I am the president of the Polish Logistics Association, and also I am the member of the ILA Research Committee, and also the member of the board of the European Logistics Association. I have some professional experience, not only in Poland, but also a long-term stay in different parts of the world, like the USA, UK, Sweden, India, and etc. And as I said, I'm very happy to be able to moderate today's discussion. And what I'm going to do is to introduce shortly all presenters for the first session for today. We have 3 presentations, and the first presenter would be Professor Dragan Čišić, who is a full professor at the University of Rijeka, the Department of Informatics, and also a full member of the European Academy of Science and Arts. He is also the head and founder of Rijeka Innovation Living Laboratory. I could also give you plenty of details of his rich professional career. However, I have to make it very short because we have to leave enough space for presentations themselves. So he is a member also of significant international conferences of their organization committees, and his research and teaching are mainly in 2 scientific fields. First one would be logistics and supply chain management, and the second one would be information sciences. So in logistics, his main focus is on maritime logistics and its connection to supply chain management. And in ICT area, he focused on electronic documents and data interchange, and also the usage of new technologies. He published more than 180 papers and has lots of experience in publishing books, also as editor of these books. And today he's going to talk about a very interesting topic of maritime corridors in the context of new Silk Road, which is a kind of reviving concept in global logistics. So that topic is interesting not only from the point of view of European logistics and regional logistics, but also from a global point of view in, let's say, in Asia and in different parts of Europe. So he will present us with some with some basics of that concept of new Silk Road, and especially concentrates also on issues which are interesting for the Balkan regions, because that first session is concentrating mostly on Balkan region issues. The second presenter is Professor Marija Bogataj from the University of Ljubljana. And she obtained her doctor in engineering science degree in 1983. Her basic field of research was location theory, industrial and urban facilities management. She lectured also in, she was the lecturer of operational research, and she was also the dean of Faculty of Maritime Studies and Transportation. She established the research group CERRISK already at the University of Ljubljana, and she's leading that group right now. So she's employed in the School of Economics and Business, a former faculty of economics at the University of Ljubljana. And today she's going to talk about another interesting issue connected to the older population of Europe, and this is the concept which is known very widely as silver economy. Silver economy is typical for many regions of the world, especially for Europe, and therefore she's going to present us with some aspects connected to issues of different logistic support of that kind of silver economy in rural areas, especially remote rural areas in Slovenia, but with in some context of European problems connected to aging society and silver economy. And then we will have the third presenter, and the third presenter is Professor Andrej Lisec, who is the associate professor in logistics, reverse logistics, and sustainability at the University of Maribor in Slovenia, the Faculty of Logistics. So his main interest is the focus on sustainability, reduction of logistic costs, and environment. He is also the member of expert group by the European Commission in the field Smart, Green and Integrated Transport, and he acts also as an expert in a group for strategic transport research and innovation agenda governance. He has plenty of international experience, and I won't list all of them because the list is really very long, so we can say that he has a kind of global exposure to professional experience in research and in some other professional elements of his career. He was also involved in the preparation of very famous international symposium on logistics, which is the kind of cyclical event, international event, now also not famous only in Europe, but also in different parts of the world. He closely collaborated with the Conference of Transport and Research in the Danube region, and he is well experienced with publication. He has more than 300 publications now, including papers, conference proceedings, and chapters in monographs. So he is going to talk about food supply chains, and especially about the aspect of local supply chains for food distribution, which are the element also of tourist industry and some local policies for introduction of local food products as competitive products on the market. So there is a tendency generally to reduce the average distance of food transportation, and this is even more important with respect to local producers. So the concept of supply chains for developing short supply chains for local food distribution is a very important element of economy, and he's going to give us also some example of those kind of events. So this is the short presentation of presenters and the subject of the talks. And now I would like to mention some organizational issues, mostly for the audience. If someone from the audience would like to address questions connected to the problems that the presenters will expose during their speeches, please use the system of Q&A. You will find it on your board, and you can write your questions there, and we will try to answer some of those questions, because after each presentation we will have a 5-minute time slot to answer some of those questions. Those of you who will not be whose questions we will be not able to answer, please be a little bit patient, and we will pass those questions to the speakers, and you will get some answers by direct email contact, and you will get your answers as well. So there is a 40-minute time slot for each presenter, and now my kind request to all presenters, please adhere to that regulation, because your presentation should be not longer than 35 minutes, so then that we have at least those 5 minutes to ask some questions from the audience. And I would like to extend my introduction, because I think that everything is well known right now. So I would like to invite kindly the first speaker, Professor Dragan Čišić, who will talk about maritime corridor in the context of the new Silk Road. Professor Čišić, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Danuta. Okay, now I have to just share my screen. Hope you see it all. Do you see it? Sorry. I don't hear anybody talking.
It's visible.
Okay.
Okay,
Yes,
okay,
okay.
okay. Then I'll start. Well, this is a little bit big presentation, because we are talking about maritime corridors in the context of New Silk Road. But before that, we have to say a few words about New Silk Road. So the idea of this presentation is, first, we will say about the background of One Belt, One Road, then about Maritime Silk Road, One Belt, One Road in Europe, and then in Central and Eastern Europe. And in the end, we will have discussion. So first, let's talk a little bit about One Belt and One Road. This is the name of the new, they call it New Silk Road, or One Road, One Belt, which was announced by President of China, Xi Jinping, in Kazakhstan 2013. And this is China's initiative, which involves massive infrastructure investments and ambitious plans to reduce barriers to trade in Eurasia and Africa. In the field of where in the geographic part where One Road, One Belt is initiative is working, there are more than 60 countries. There is 55% of global GDP, 70% of global population, and 75% of global energy reserves. The New Silk Road has two parts. One is a land-based Silk Road, and the other one is maritime-based Silk Road. We have to say that this is a long-term Chinese vision for improved global connectivity and expand their production and trade chains. So, and it focused mainly on Eurasia and Africa. Here you can see this new Silk Road, which has two parts. One is Silk Road, which is really on land, and the other one is called 21st Century Maritime Silk Road. As you can see here, we have designed a little bit of how it would work. Of course, the idea is to have massive infrastructure investments. For example, new roads, new rail lines, ports, and pipelines. And all these with China as the hub So it's the idea how China wants to spread its influence. And let's talk about, let's say a few words about the People's Republic of China. First, we have to acknowledge that China was emerged as the world's first civilization, and it has population of around 1.4 billion. We don't know now if it is the country with biggest population, because they have been surpassed by India 2 years ago, and they have some very interesting problems. For example, in some fields, China is lacking people. It's strange when we are talking about the country of 1.4 billion. But remember that for nearly 75, 80 years, China had the idea that two people, man and a woman, can have only one child. So in 75 years, the number of persons has declined. And People's Republic of China is third or fourth largest country in the world, because there is they are nearly the same as United States. There is a few tens of thousands of kilometers difference. And where is the big thing is that China's economy is surpassing United States. As you can see here, there are some trends, and some trends are showing that China is going to surpass United States in 2026, and second trend is that China is going to surpass US in 2028. But now we have two big countries which are not in clash, and the China is trying to not only to be the big country as an economy, but also to be a superpower, and that is, I think, why the new Silk Road is made. So, as if we are talking about maritime things, they said there is China's old proverb, which says that weak maritime power leads to declining nation, and strong maritime power leads to strong nation. So we have in 2012, they have declared China's ambition to become a strong maritime power. And the second thing is that they have created a very big People's Liberation Army Navy. And it is the largest navy in the world. It surpassed United States by 2 years ago. And what are the China's core interests? First is the regime, sovereignty, unity, territorial integrity, welfare of the people, sustainable economic and social development, and other major interests of the states, and the capability to maintain sustained security status. These are their core interests. From there, they are creating One Belt, One Road, which is project which has a greater impact than the United States reconstruction assistance to Europe under the Marshall Plan. And they estimate its value of $1.4 trillion for the project. And of course, they are negotiating, but bilaterally, globalization 2.0 through One Belt, One Road initiative. And they are trying to create some kind of global monopoly. For example, has prized 5 virtues of public-private partnership under the One Belt, One Road. And we say that based on the multi-stakeholder approach, which is conducive to dialogue, multilateral cooperation, and long-term shared interest. And you can read it because this is a lot of things, and I have to be fast for now. This is New Silk Road, helps generate sustained Chinese economic growth, thereby contribute to social stability in China, not in all the country. It helps that countries, but you will see what are the repercussions, especially in the Balkans region. These are new corridors. If you see, there is China-Mongolia, Russia corridor, New Eurasian Land Bridge, China-Central Asia, West Asia corridor, China-Pakistan corridor, China-Bangladesh-India corridor, and China-Indo-Kina corridor. This is what they call economic belt. As you can see here are 5 corridors. First, there is Eurasian Land Bridge, which is mainly through the Siberia, and that's from Western China to Western Russia through Kazakhstan, and these goes from China, Kazakhstan, Russia, Belarus, Poland, and Germany. And there is a problem of GOG problem, because on China, Russia, because Russia has a different GOG on different GOG, so there has to be transfer from in China and to the border to China, Russia, and then back on Russia, Belarus, Poland border. This is Trans-Siberian corridor, which from North China, from Mongolia to Russian Far East, and from Moscow to Beijing, there are 13 days. So in 13 days, you can reach Europe from China instead of 30 days by maritime transport. Third part is China, Central Asia, West Asia corridor, and this is from Western China to Turkey. It passes Albania, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Bosnia, Bulgaria, Georgia, Iran, Iraq, Israel, Jordan, Kyrgyzstan, Lebanon, Macedonia, South Macedonia, Moldova, Montenegro, Palestinian Authority, Romania, Serbia, Syria, Tajikistan, Turkey, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan. And in 18 days, it has passed, needed to pass a train from China to Europe. And the average speed of the train is 40 kilometers per hour. Then we have China and Indo-China Peninsula corridor, connection from southern China to Singapore. And then we have another very interesting thing, that is China-Pakistan economic corridor, because Chinese have rented port of Gwadar, and it's they have 43-year lease there, so they are now preparing a corridor there. And it is interesting that this is a corridor which passes, doesn't need to pass through the China Sea, so you can they are directly on Arabian Sea. Now let's say a few words about Maritime Silk Road. This is the design of the 21st century Maritime Silk Road, and these are the ports which have Chinese engagement there. First one is Piraeus, then port side, Ashdod, Haifa, Jebel Ali, Khalifa, Gwadar, and you can see we have on this part we have a lot of ports which have Chinese engagement, and you can see that some of these ports have been leased. For example, Pakistan has leased Gwadar port for 40 years. In Myanmar, there is 50 years. In Malaysia, 60 years. They have leased Malacca Gateway for 99 years. In Sri Lanka, they have leased port 99 years. On Brunei, 60 years, and on Maldives, 50 years. Of course, this is the 21st century maritime Silk Road, which is connecting then all these parts, and you see how China is spreading on the way to the Europe and to the Africa, and they are investing a lot in global ports, and China also sees a big potential in developing countries, where they are trying to push the fundings, and of course, economic broader ports have economic broader value. For example, value data on logistics and local economy. And this is not new, because 20 years ago, when Japan and South Korea wanted to grow, they also leased the ports. And of course, a company which builds ports, China Communications Construction, which is the largest port building company, has built 95 deep water berths and sold over 650 shipping container cranes outside China by the end of 2016. Now 2021, it seems that these numbers have risen much more. This is China's global port investment. So you can see a lot of ports which are either in use, red, signed or under this construction is blue, and yellow is planned. So you see a lot, especially in the this part of Mediterranean, and here on in the Indochina and Africa. And you can see the ports and terminals which are disclosed mainly to Chinese stake, and all the shipping routes from them. So they have a lot of power in that. They have more strategic advantages. And not only that, but for example, China's interest in Gwadar, Pakistan port allows them to transport crude oil from the Middle East to Western China without having to transit through the Strait of Malacca. Let's say, especially from Iranian oil. And of course, there is always a possibility of military uses of port development. And that is the case of ports of Gwadar, Djibouti, and Seychelles. And but Colombo and Piraeus do not have any official confirmation, but they have both had high-profile visits from Chinese Navy. So not only the ports are used for the economic parts, but it is also a possibility that they are used for something else. There are two other routes which we are talking about as new routes in New Silk Road. First is Northern Sea route. Northern Sea route, as you can see, is around Russia. And it is interesting that China has pushed their container ships and tankers to go on the Northern Sea route, but stopped at 2014. Then the problems in Ukraine have been created. This is another thing. This is a Thai channel. This is the idea, but China is pushing that, and they would like to create a channel which measures 102 kilometers long, 400 kilometers wide, and 25 meters deep. And this will shorten transit shipments of oil and everything else to Japan or China by 1,200 kilometers. So that is more than 5 days. And of course, on these parts, we have problems with maritime security. We have piracy, counterterrorism, maritime cyber attacks, regional threat by Islamic State in Philippines, Yemen, and South Chinese Sea. So you will see also people's PLA, that's Navy, PLAN, sorry, to go through these, through all maritime Silk Road to provide maritime security. And let's talk about EU and China. If we look about container trade, you will see that we have all landed containers from Far East to Europe are mainly from China, and loaded containers from Far Sea to Europe are mainly from UK, Germany, Netherlands, and then Italy, France, Spain, Belgium. The same thing is for loaded containers from Europe to Far East. Mainly they are from Germany, Italy, UK, Netherlands, France, Spain, Belgium, and Finland. And mainly all they are going to China. So China is now using that. You will see later. And if we look at the price and transit time from China to Europe, by air is 5 days, and 1 kilogram costs $2 and 10 tons, or 1 40-foot container is $20,000. By rail is 1 40-foot container costs 4,250 euros, and sea, it lasts 35 days to the port to port, and it costs 2,000 euros. So you can connect and see that maritime Silk Road or sea transport is now mostly used. And now let's say a few words about One Belt, One Road in Europe. Of course, now European Union and China are two biggest traders in the world. And China is now, new data have shown that China is now EU's first biggest trading partner behind, and it puts behind the United States. But you will see a little bit later that there is a little bit problem with that. So EU is China's biggest trading partner, and European imports from China have grown faster than exports to China, and there is a growing deficit of EU against China. And you can see here are the exports to China from the member states, and imports also. And let's say that EU's main import from China are industrial consumer goods, machinery and equipment, footwear and clothing. And EU's main exports are machinery, equipment, motor vehicles, aircraft and chemicals. And EU-China trade in services is about 10% of total trade in goods. And the EU export services of nearly 20% of EU total exports of goods. But recently, Chinese export to European Union has changed, and its most remarkable are in high technological sectors. So China is a little bit changing the export things which are exported to much more technological things. And here are the EU traded most traded goods to China. You can see that the telecommunications equipment is EU mostly importing, and then automatic data processing machines, that's computers. And there is a little bit problem because the European Union and China have two different visions about foreign policy, because EU commitment is and its founding principles is human rights, democracy, and the rule of law. And January 22nd, there was made a EU-China comprehensive agreement of investment. And this is the most ambitious agreement that China has ever concluded with any country. But the problem is that the European Union joined the United States and United Kingdom just these weeks in punishing Chinese officials for over alleged human rights abuses in the country's Xinjiang region. And Beijing fired back with sanctions with 10 EU politicians, including members of parliament. And as parliament, European Parliament has to agree to pass these China's comprehensive agreement on investment, everything stopped. So just in a few, maybe a month and a half ago. So there is a big problem with that. What is about EU and New Silk Road? EU and China have already signed a memorandum of understanding to set up a connectivity platform, which will connect the Silk Road and European transport network. And as you can see, the trade with Far East is now dominated by the trade with China. And we have around 11 million TEU from Far East to Europe, but only about 5 million TEUs from Europe to the Far East. And the same thing is on rail, but by 2040, the rail may carry 3 million TEUs of freight between Far East and Europe, and around 2.5 million diverted from shipping and 0.5 million diverted from air. So we will have a big change in logistics if this carries out. And what are the effect of New Silk Road on transport patterns? The shipping times from Far East to North Sea are about 1 week longer than to the Mediterranean Sea. So the idea of China's idea is that the rail is most attractive transport to Europe from the Mediterranean area, and this would be a potential reduction up to 15% in traffic from China to North Sea ports. That's why Chinese have rented Piraeus port. And of course, if we look at ports such Rotterdam and Sea Bridge, they will gain the traffic from China, transferring it to rail and then ship from the main part to the United Kingdom and Ireland. And that means that Rotterdam would be the export port from China. That's a very interesting thing. And use of the Mediterranean port would not be, there won't be net change. And these are the countries which have memorandum of understanding with China. First, cooperation under the Silk Road, and then on transport and infrastructure. With more black are the countries which are not in one or other part. And Chinese are thinking of investment in ports, and particularly in the Mediterranean area. And you will see later when we are talking about South and East Europe, that will be told you about. And which are opportunities and challenges? Of course, the transferring freight traveling between China from air to rail should result in much lower CO2 emissions. And the second thing is that, interestingly, Chinese contractors are adapting to the EU laws and standards. And because up to 1-2 years ago, China didn't want to use EU laws, so they preferred that they are making contracts with connection of two states or the companies just one-to-one without any tender. So they didn't want to use tender. Now they are using tenders, and they are adapting to EU laws. And at the end, let's say about one belt, one road, and Central and Eastern Europe. There is something which is called 17+1 format, which was created by China in 2012, and they want to acquire influence of 16 or 17 Eastern European countries from Baltics to the Balkans. And if you can see here, there was last year, 2019, there was 8th summit of Central and Eastern European countries in China in Dubrovnik here in Croatia. This is the list of Chinese investment in the 16+1.
Professor Čišić, we are coming to the end.
Yes, I'm just few words.
Yes, please make some concluding remarks. Thank you.
I would just want to show you this. Major transport and energy infrastructure for Montenegro. They are leasing. They are projects which are financed by China. Is 27% of their GDP. Bosnia and Herzegovina has projects of 16% of GDP. Serbia 7 to 8% of GDP. South Macedonia 7% of GDP. For Albania it is unknown, but it is somewhere around 10% of GDP, and Romania has 3 to 4% of GDP. Let me tell you that Montenegro has now a big problem, because they took the funds from China on 27% of GDP, and they don't have money to pay. And just 3 days ago, they have asked EU to help them pay that. If not, the China will take some part of Montenegro, will get some part of Montenegro for that. And at the end, let's say a few words about one belt, one road in Croatia. First, they have been doing on a bridge which is called Pelješki most. This was a public tender. China Road and Bridge Corporation has got it. This is 300 million euros. And it's a first project which is created by Chinese companies, which is partly funded by EU, because this is the bridge which connects the two parts of Croatia, which are separated by Bosnia and Herzegovina. And there is also one thing, Port of Rijeka. There was also public tender. And Chinese have made best offer. But just a few days ago, no, maybe 1 month ago, the management board of Port of Rijeka authority annulled the procedure for granting concession to Chinese, and will start a new public tender. And these were the companies which were funding these, wanted from China, wanted Port of Rijeka to lease. This is Ningbo Port Company. This is the biggest port in the world. Tinjan Port Overseas Holding. This is the fourth port in the world, and China Road and Bridge Corporation. And to the end, let me say just one thing, how Chinese have very, very big possibility to do things. In order to push a little bit to get Port of Rijeka, about 6 months ago, they started transshipment. They made a transshipment from Piraeus to Port of Rijeka each week. So there is a ship, there is a vessel with about 3,000 TEUs every week coming from Piraeus to Rijeka. And it is interesting that the railroad from Rijeka to Ljubljana hasn't been used for 35 years as a, for freight transport, because it's old railway, and just in 35 years, no block freight train has passed there. Chinese went to the Slovenian government, and let me say that about a week after the first ship came to the Port of Rijeka, we had a block train from Rijeka to Ljubljana, and after that. Okay, thank you very much. This is what I have.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes, I have here some chat. What only about China? Well, Maritime Silk Road is a Chinese idea. It's not United States idea, and they are very, very geopolitical game in logistics. Let's say it's a little bit. We are now in big problems, because there are, up to now, the United States has been the most powerful country, and now China is growing, and we will have some problems after, not only in logistics, but maybe in politics. Any questions?
Yes, may I pose a question?
Yeah.
It's possible, Danuta, according only if you say yes.
Well, we are just you know, running out of time. But if that question concerns strictly the subject, please, and if the answer is not too long, please ask your question.
Just one question, Dragan. My question is, according to you, the port network in the Adriatic Sea is ready for the Silk Road? Yes or not? Very quick answer.
It is ready. It is ready, but you have to see. There was a question about Port of Copper. containers from China are coming to Port of Koper, Port of Trieste, and Port of Venice. But why I have said something about Port of Rijeka, because there is a new terminal which has been built, and it's leasing. It is now in process of leasing, and that's why I told you all about these, and to see how they have how Chinese are working to get what they want.
Okay, thank you very much.
I know that, of course, every country, they will, of course, grow the fields here, grow the port here, and we will get a lot of new things, but also we have to think a little bit about that.
Right, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to prolong that discussion, because please remember that we still have a panel discussion at the end of our second session, so we can return to several problems. I just would like to make just one comment without any expectation for the answer, because we were talking about political issues, macroeconomic issues, but from the point of view of business, in supply chains, we have a tendency of inshoring, no offshoring. So whether I just the problem, whether this long distance transportation will still have enough cargo to carry. What about the problems that, for example, in the Suez Canal, we have recently we have the problem of blocking the canal for several days, and billion euros of losses. And also you mentioned also some dangerous areas on the route of southern seas of the Silk Road in Malacca Strait near Somalia, and so on and so on. So we can return to that maybe during our panel discussion about these business issues, because we have investments, we have macro policy now, but how about the business? What the business says about it? What are the real advantages for the business? Okay, but I don't want to. I just would like to make that kind of comment. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, Professor Bogataj has had to wait a little bit, but okay, I hope still we have some time. I would like to invite Professor Marija Bogataj for her presentation about the challenges of the silver economy, and especially in Slovenian rural areas. Marija, the floor is yours.
Danuta, thank you very much to invite me here. I'm proud to be part of your community here. As announced, just a minute, David. So, I would like to talk about challenges of logistics in the silver economy of Europe and show the case in Slovenian rural areas. Actually, I will talk more about problems and solutions in Slovenian rural areas. Just to, as Professor Danuta already announced, from where I am. I'm coming from University of Ljubljana, from previously it was Faculty of Economics. Now we changed the name to School of Economic and Business. And the main theoretical research is going on at the University of Ljubljana. But applied research and consultancy we had through Institute in Risk. So you have 2 emails, and you can later send any questions to first or second, however. The first thing which we can remark at Europe is shrinking European population. And if you look at the first feature, you can see that our population in millions is shrinking from 450 to, let us say, in case of no migration scenario, in this century, below 300 million. And if you accept the ideas about migration, here is the baseline about it. In this population, the share of population 80 plus, which is proxy for the people who need long-term care, special care, is shown in this second feature. And you can see that this share is going from 6% in 2020 to, let us say, 12 in next 30 years and something. And of course, this problem especially is making, is giving us a new challenges. Though the silver economy is talking about the consumption of people who is 50 and older, 55 now, mostly said. If you're looking at the numbers for Europe, for Europeans 80 plus, the number is growing up like shown in this picture. And you can see that up in 30 years, it will double. But important for us is to see the ratio between working age population, as it is named at statistics, to 80 plus. This ratio is falling down rapidly. The problem which appear is evident in cities, but even more in rural areas. You can see here the percentage of municipalities at each EU member state, also United Kingdom here, percentage of local areas who are shrinking now, who were shrinking actually in the first decade. The main problem here is healthcare expenditures, and the percentage of healthcare expenditures in GDP per capita in Europe. Here we have also still United Kingdom is shown here according to the age cohort, and we can see that this population, which is in focus in silver economy, this population costs quite much, yes. And inside these healthcare expenditures are also transportation costs. For emergency transportation, which is mostly performed by hospitals and healthcare centers. These are mainly public activities. And non-emergent transport, which is still paid by insurance companies, at least in Slovenia and in many European countries, But this is not provided by public enterprises, but by private contractors mostly. And the question is, what could be the role of logistics and transportation companies to provide the services for this kind of transportation, and also for some others which we'll talk later. This feature was done by European Actuarial Association based on Aging Report 2018, and now today the costs are rising. This problem of transport is especially quite important to be solved in rural areas, because the people complain that they have no public transport, they have no taxi which would be of reasonable price. So what to do here? So it is important problem inside the silver economy of rural European areas. Now I will turn your attention to Slovenia. This is Slovenia here, and Slovenia has 221 municipalities, and these municipalities are also aging fast. You can see that the age index, which usually is reported by statistics, is very high, especially in this eastern part. These are mostly mountains, and these are wooden areas. So the most important is this part here. And for this part, we were asked to make investigation what to do here. And what we found, first of all, how the people are satisfied with availability, accessibility of transportation services. And the answers are here, that more than nearly 50% of people are absolutely not satisfied with people which are in nursing home already. These are people who are in majority, the modus is around 80 years. And here are people from home care. The modus here is around 70 and something of age. And you see how they are satisfied with availability of transportation services. Here is presented down. Here are presented the distribution of age of those who are in institutional care and those who are at home care. All need better services, and they are not available. That's the main problem. But the other problem, maybe they would be able to afford very expensive taxis, but their incomes, their pensions mostly are low. The pensions in the modus of pensions is among 500 and 800 euro per month, and it is not enough to be able to call taxi. What to do? First, we should see who would pay that services. Partly I already told that, for example, for institutional care, for nursing home, that actually first we were talking about some medical services connected with transportation. These are what we have been shown before. Some services are covered by health insurance, but not first visit at all. For travel cost of caregivers, communities are paying extra 10% for rural areas. So something is covered, but not much for traveling for caregivers, but for the, so it goes, that means that the users are not paying all travel costs. But in nursing home, social housing and social care is paid by users, healthcare is paid by health insurance, travel is covered by users only at their own expenses, unless it is an urgent or so-called non-urgent transportation due to medical services. Non-urgent transportations means periodically known in advance the services of transportation to different medical treatments planned in advance. But all other things should be paid by those people who has such monthly income as shown before. What is going on in a rural area now, when the number of old people is growing so fast? Institutional care, the beds in institutional care are full, and we have long queues of those who are asking to be accepted to institutional care without success. Therefore, Slovenia was starting to develop home care. But home care has also a problem because of houses are not properly built to be safe for old people. The family, mostly sons and daughters, are still employed because their retirement age increased very much. Therefore, these people are staying at home alone without help very often. These home care programs are very poor, and one of solutions was to build the daily centers to daily care for that people. And again, here is question: who will take the people to daily care? Who will take them back? And who will serve them to go to hospital, to the doctor first time, who to go to shops, to administration thing at the municipality centers, and so on, so on. These problems are not solved. And therefore, the solution was to establish a new institutional way for care that people. What to do? How to? Two things have been important. First, the question how it could be if we are introducing a new kind of enterprise in this area, how the activities could be paid, and we can see, as I told before, partly, but not much, are paid by municipality. Some activities are paid by health insurance companies, institute actually. And now, the question is how to plan new way of care for that people, for a logistic care, we can say, which will be able to organize and in rural areas. And because there are two problems to improve built environment and to make affordable costs of human resources, of caregivers, which should be low enough. Therefore, we approach to that problem formally by so-called net present value approach, so that we considered the cost of preparing proper environment, to invest in proper environment, and cost of human resources. It means that by logistics, we support lower needs of caregivers, because caregivers doesn't need only 10% of time to travel. In rural areas, in some areas, they need half of time to travel. So the question is how to support all that activities so that net present value of all these costs and also investments would be as low as possible. This was our approach with which we were approaching to these problems. One of solution which started to be realized, actually, which was realized last week in one of municipalities, was so-called greenhouses. It means that people are moving from the buildings which are not able to be properly built we are not safe enough to another so-called greenhouses with special arrangement of households. And the other solutions have been also some new construction have been done for daily care. So the criteria to organize such care were based on two aspects: to support needs of caregivers, travels and care, and solving the problems of old adults and their travel for non-emergency transport, which can be part of such new kind of organization. Transport to daily care and back, which should be also somehow paid and could be now in negotiation what part could be paid by municipality from that 10% which belongs to each patient up to now, and how to organize and how to pay private needs. So we at the end came to the conclusion that social entrepreneurships is a good solution. Namely, the solution could be to establish a social enterprise as an organization that that could be additionally supported by municipality. which applies partly commercial strategies to make a positive difference for both so for the enterprise as for municipality on local level. For social enterprises, it is assumed that profit is very low and is returned back to growth that activities and of enterprise. So social enterprise actually has both business goals and social goals. Actually, for social enterprises, there are possible, according to legislation, the legal framework, different kinds. For example, in kind of private-public partnership with the municipality, but also this private part could be organized like cooperative or of relatives and friends. And in our survey, we saw that there are very interested citizens who wished to cooperate in such social enterprises. In our survey of 372 relatives, 26% of them would do something for minimal salary. They would be employed and they would be prepared to work for minimal salary. But 44% of them, they were willing to work as volunteers inside this social enterprise or work with so-called bank of so-called bank of good deals. So it means if I am offering something now, when I will need, I hope that you will offer later for me. If I am help to your user of long-term care, your mother, your father, I suppose that next time you will do that for me. So that kind of things, voluntary things, bank of good deeds, should be combined with this inside this public-private partnership to care for old people. So here are the answers. How many monthly workload the people in this sample of 229 answers in second survey we made later was as shown here. We have 85 of those who wish to be volunteers, and here how much hours per month they are willing to work, and who wish to work in bank for bank of good deals, as we named that, is that number here, 144. Here you have summarized the answers, and this seemed to us good model for further to expand that to other communities. And first case, which is starting just now, is at I will show you in this municipality, Krško, here. We're going back. So, but the second question, which is more turned to organizational principles, to support, decision support systems, how to organize all these services. We went through the literature and tried to find the best solutions. We know quite years and years, we know the multiple travel assessment problem as the basic problem who gives the algorithm to optimize this route. And the question here is that how to optimize the route of caregivers, of nurses, of social workers, of physiotherapists. Now, exactly in Krško, they finished European project how to work it together, all these kind of services. And we wanted to see, can we improve the existing way of services by modification of multiple travel assessment problem in general? And we try to do this in algorithm, in special algorithm in R programming language. For this area here, you can see the borders of Krško there. Sorry. Here are the borders of Krško for this area. So here are the research question, how to organize that. And as I already said before, the final criterion is minimum investment and operational cost and health status benefits. So we include in this model requirements of better health status benefits. And one of them is also when to be served, which is very important for some people, especially if they have some special arrangements inside these networks. And to do so, we went through literature review, seen first other models of home healthcare logistics, routine and scheduling problem. Many of you know that models. And we saw that the number of publications on that question, that model, in improving that models, it's quite nice. You can see that in the last 5 years, we have already 93 papers. I didn't count the papers now in 21. And the objectives and constraints in these papers are different. And here in the table, you can see different authors with quite often cited papers from Web of Science. Here are some objectives and constraints here. And we can see what we concluded first, what actually logistics can add to the caregivers, to the cost of caregivers. They can reduce the number of caregivers in working 8-hour day, but we can see that the objective to reduce the number of caregivers we can meet only in 2 papers, and one of paper was done together with Sander in 2017. But otherwise, there are not thinking about that. But our opinion was that to reduce number of caregivers by our support, by support of this social enterprise, would be good participation to optimization of this caregiving.
Dear Maria, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we are coming.
Okay,
we are running out
I
of
will
time.
shortly say that we succeeded to solve the problem for that area by introducing so-called Peterson-Albrecht algorithm, which is known in industrial engineering, by to introduce also the timing of servicing, when to serve, time windows when to serve in the solutions, and it improved the satisfaction of people and reduced the number of caregivers per day for nurses from 9 to 8. So the result have been good by introduction of that sequencing by Peterson-Albrecht algorithm in the known approaches, quite okay. That's what we are doing to improve some results in servicing older people, which is, as I showed at the beginning, very challenging things, also in logistics. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Maria. It was a very nice example of unorthodox logistics problems in some service industry. And I think that due to the fact that all economies are under the servitization of their operation, so we have to pay attention also to some logistics, to that sector, which is actually widening all the time. And it's a good idea to see some logistics problems also in those not very classical logistics activities like transportation and warehousing for distribution and so on. I was just wondering if there are any questions. We have time for one small question. Are there no questions? I can't see anything. So I will just have one very short question to you, Maria,
Okay.
concerning the current situation, concerning also care, the care system for senior citizens in many countries, and also the pandemic situation. Do you think, I don't need the details, but do you think that we learned something which concerns your model from the experience of these difficult times concerning transportation and operation of those support systems for senior citizens care?
Okay, yeah, it's this approach to make smaller units for care, like greenhouses, as I mentioned, to take the people who are alone, because loneliness is so dangerous for old people as for someone who smokes 30 cigarettes per day. This was Claudia Wood from Britain who proved that. And another thing is that people who are alone in this rural area, they fall and nobody found them sometimes days. And in this case, it is good to have at least daily care or these greenhouses as we introduced now. But not to make big institutional care, big houses, not to make nursing homes like we had years ago. Why? Because, for example, during the COVID, the highest percentage of people who died have been from institutional care. Therefore, such solution to make small houses with people who are together, which will not be alone anymore. Why it happened? Actually, we should think why it happened in rural areas now that this problem was more evident, more obvious. It happened that their sons and daughters should work longer if they are not working just at home, at farm. And therefore, these old people stay alone in danger, not safety at home. And therefore, we should make this new organization more rapid. It was found that almost no COVID appeared in greenhouses in states. Because we took a little bit, we are working together with University of Tampa, with School of Asian Studies, and they are well connected with all these greenhouses there, and we got the report that nearly no one died, or even no one got the virus in greenhouses. So it is good to make small units, not to continue with this institutional care in big nursing homes. That is the answer of COVID.
Thank you very much. And maybe it suggests that sometimes in classical logistics, we should depart from the idea of economies of scale and convert into economies of scope instead. Thank you once again for a very interesting presentation. And it's the high time that we invite the last speaker of this session, Professor Andrej Lisec, who is going to talk about supply chains in Slovenian organic farming. The floor is yours, Professor Lisec.
Thank you very much. I will talk about short supply chains in Slovenian organic farming. I'm coming from University of Maribor, Faculty of Logistics. I'm really glad that I'm today with you. And food is one of the most important things in our everyday life. Providing safe and healthy food that is locally and sustainably grown is undoubtedly in the interest of the whole society, especially when it comes to the most vulnerable groups, as we talked also today. Unfortunately, a large proportion of the food in public institutions like kindergarten, school, hospital is cheaper food produced globally, which is often of lower quality and poor in nutrition. Purchasing food from local producers is a huge challenge for us and for public institutions. And the current system presents many disadvantages for both the local food producers, farmers, and public institutions. The main emphasis in food purchasing is still on cost reduction, rather than on a more comprehensive approach that includes quality, nutritional value, and sustainability. High quality, fresh, and nutritional food that is rich in vitamins and safe to eat is found all too rarely on our plates. And local produced food needs good logistics And if the leading strategy is green tourism, one of the strategic goals should be the use of mobility cars with low emissions. Here is one product on local level. We have really global challenges of logistics. This COVID situation is also very important in agriculture. Delivery of locally grown food is very important in local environment. And we can use also today electric and hybrid vehicles. And this is one of the solutions for future logistics in Slovenia. We should do less kilometers for delivery of goods. And this means also better quality of products. Good quality food is significant for everyday life for us and also for tourism industry. One good thing about philosophy of quality and excellence, we need our head, we need our hands, and this is quality. But if we implement also our heart, we could be excellent. We have reasons for buying and not buying locally produced food. Why? Yes, because it's health and nutritional concern. It has superior taste. We should be also aware of environment and also food safety. It's very good that we support also local economy like Slovenia. But on no side, we could say that it's higher price, maybe sometimes lack of availability, skepticism of central board, insufficient marketing, and satisfaction with current food source. Slovenia would like to be green, active, and healthy. That's why we have a slogan, I feel, Slovenia. We have 2 million inhabitants and covers around 20,000 square kilometers. And this distribution of locally produced food could be from today to tomorrow to every corner of the Slovenia in one day. We should be creative and also digital. Why? Because we can order these things through web channels or mobile phones. And one of the important things in food is also storytelling. Today, farmers face many challenges, and they would like to be more effective and efficient, like first picture. And digital technologies can support farmers and also to ourselves that we can produce more with less, because we have sustainable solutions to today's and tomorrow's challenges. We have drones, we have mobile phones, tablets, and so on. We made one project about daily distribution route for different places in Slovenia. Our cost analysis shows that this road from Sevnica, Krško, Blanca, Zidani, Mostar, Radeče was made with Renault Kangoo, electric car Renault Kangoo, then electric car Nissan, hybrid car Mitsubishi Outlander. The cheapest one was with electric car Nissan, then electric car Renault Kangoo, after that hybrid car, and the most expensive was a Renault Kangoo. We connected also 6 biggest cities in Slovenia. These are Koper, Ljubljana, Kranj, Celje, Velenje, Maribor, and Novo Mesto. Starting point was in Novo Mesto. And time efficiency of electric vehicles were really good. The final loss of time for electric cars was 3 hours and 31 minutes. And we can see here different routes: Novo Mesto Celje, Novo Mesto Ljubljana, Novo Mesto Kranj, Novo Mesto Maribor, Novo Mesto Koper, Novo Mesto and Velenje. And 3 hours is not so much for electric vehicles, but in the future, will this time loss be lower? One point is also very important: environmental impact comparison for Nissan. Because Nissan releases 141 grams of CO2 emissions. This means that we have almost 25% less emissions with Nissan. When driving on regional roads, is 55.6% less emissions with Nissan. Because on highways, we have higher speed. On regional road, we have lower speed. And also range on highways is lower, around 100 kilometers. On regional roads, we have 185 kilometers. We have here impact comparison with electric vehicles and conventional vehicle on different roads. And here we have the sum for electric vehicles, which is 127 CO2 emissions in kilograms with electric vehicles, and for conventional vehicle, 168 CO2 emissions per kilogram. Cost efficiency comparison is 6 cents for charging per unit and around 15 euros per month for subscription. And saving at the monthly level is around 108 euros. We have here electric vehicles on these roads. The sum is 123 for electric vehicle, and for normal vehicle, 232 euros. And cost efficiency comparison with vehicle type in buying price, road use, compensation, consumption, expenses, and servicing the vehicle in first year, second year, and third year. We can see here that this cost efficiency in first year is so-so. In second year, it's much better. In third year, is almost the same. In 5 years, it will be better. So more years we have electric vehicles, cost efficiency is better. One important thing is also that we have local producers, and we made also with the students one project, culture in Posavia region, and we make a Sevnica plate with salami, cheese, and so on. What we could produce and to serve our tourists when they came to our town. And local food is also impressive for modern tourists. They want experience. They would like contact with local population, their way of life, culture, habits, and local cuisine. They would like to have also new products. Maybe one of them was also First Lady brand, because Melania was born in our city when I lived, and also about tea, pralines, bottles, creams, and all of this production on local level was spread all over the world. The modern tourist is not longer satisfied with the sightseeing of the places. They want more. They would like something new, different, interesting things on their travels. And one of them is this local produced food. And what will happen in the future? This video was made this week in Singapore, and we will see now what we could do with distribution in the future. Last mile delivery for food delivering services. We should be environmental friendly and we should care about our environment. At the end, I would like to invite you on our 15th International Conference on Logistics in Agriculture, which is organized also by the Faculty of Logistics, University of Maribor. And this year topic will be COVID influence on logistics in agriculture, which will be held on 11th of November this year. And for more information, you can go to our web page on Faculty of Logistics. One thing is very important, that we think globally and eat locally. And also packages is very important. It's in on paper and maybe environmental friendly. We have only one Earth. We shouldn't waste it. We should be aware also of our children, what they eat and what they think. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Andrej, for a very interesting presentation and appealing to our conscience that we should pay attention to all these environmental issues, and really food is not only important for our health, but it's also fun. So all these aspects are very important. However, right now in certain regions, like for example in Poland, we are a little bit deprived of that pleasure. However, I can see one question here. This is a question coming from René de Coster, and he wrote on chat, do CO2 emissions of those electric vehicles that you have calculated and presented in your tables, do they include emissions from power plants, from battery production? Because this is usually the problem with electric energy for use for transportation. What is the source of producing that energy? If we don't use the renewable sources of energy, then it's the question, does it make sense? Because it seems like we are replacing the source of emissions from vehicles to producers of the energy. What do you think?
Thank you very much for the question. I agree totally with you. This CO2 emissions doesn't include emissions of power plant and the battery production, but in the future we will also calculate this for our research.
Okay, so from the point of view of classical estimation of emissions, it's just the emissions that we get from traditional and electric engines, and that's all, right?
Yes.
So this is quite straightforward. And I have another question, because again, we in those difficult times now that we have the second year of pandemic, we have lots of experience in that last mile delivery, also concerning food, because lots of people were not moving from their locations and they were counting on getting food, whether it was, well, even I think that lots of people transferred their preferences for local food because delivery could be quicker. Usually they were getting fresh products. Do you think that that pandemic situation is a kind of support for your ideas of shortening food supply chains, or does it or will it change that concept? What do you think?
Thank you also for the question. I agree that this COVID situation will change this situation. I'm very proud of one of my students who made a diploma work on this field, and he made a company for delivering of local produced food to customers. And he made a really good job, good company. And also in this COVID situation, a lot of people are ordering through website to their products, and the delivery is each day. And also other producers and companies in Slovenia like Mercator, Tušpar, they are delivering food every day to our home. We are also using these platforms to buy the products through internet. And if I may say from my point of view, we also produce a lot of food at home, because this pandemic situation is really good for producing food at home, and you know what you eat.
Mm-hmm. So it's always like in every tragedy, there are some advantages as well. Now, I would like to ask you another question, or are there any other questions from the audience? I can see. So I will take the privilege that I can ask the question concerning, because it seemed like you were considering the round trips with this food delivery in the case study that you described. And the problem with electric vehicles, usually it's the charging station. And does it mean that, for example, you have to change the routing of the electric vehicle because, let's say, charging stations are more available at huge motorways and huge petrol stations? So you cannot use so much, maybe shorter routes, but they are not really equipped for that kind of vehicle.
Yes, you're right, because we should go on bigger roads, and the stopover is 1 hour or maybe 2 hours. That's why the results were such as they are, because you need more time to deliver the goods to the consumers.
Okay, so there is still a lot of different problems ahead, and it was very nice to see that robot, which was actually like a science fiction slightly in our, let's say, daily circumstances. However, the ancient Chinese always said that in order to start the long journey, you have to make the first step. So probably this is very true. And step by step, we are trying to do that. And I think that we are already witnessing it in traditional logistics in warehouses, for example, where automation and the use of robots is growing so quickly that they change the whole technology of logistics. So perhaps we are also able to do that here in food supply chain in future to get better food. Well, we did quite well, especially due to, and we are thankful for Andrej that he did not deprive us of the pleasure of a coffee break. If there are some questions that you would like to ask, maybe to Andrej, to Maria, to Dragan, we still have some minutes left and you can do that. Because I cannot see anything on my Q&A section, it's blank. I cannot see any other questions on chat. You can raise your hand and ask the question. Or you are so tired that you are longing for well-deserved coffee break. Someone is talking, I can't hear. Yes, no? Okay, if not, I won't force you to make that additional effort. I would like to thank very much all presenters for the time spent to present the presentation, to prepare it, to answer the questions. And I hope that we will have the opportunity to meet at the end of the second session at the panel discussion, and there will be more opportunity to discuss certain problems face in face. So I think that we can stop at this point with the first session. And according to the original program, it says that we should meet here again at 15:30 hours exactly to start the second session of this event of the ELA Research Day. Okay? Do the organizers have anything to add to what I'm saying right now? Not really. Okay. So enjoy your coffee break and see you within half an hour.
30 minutes. Yeah. Okay, Danuta, thanks very much. We start again at 3:30, okay?
3:30. Yes, 3:30, 15 hours, right. 30 minutes. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
The name is also rising hand. No. Okay. Thank you and enjoy. See you later. Bye-bye.